It started with a joke over turkey. She screamed that I didn't deserve my $12 million inheritance because I'm single and childless. Within 48 hours, she sent a lawyer to my door, but the worst notarized letter from my own mother demanding 40%. After they registered that I was lost and the money should go to them, but that's not all. I'm single, no spouse, I keep to myself. I work in finance, and about 11 months ago, a client I'd worked with for years passed away. He had no heirs, and I had no idea he'd left everything to me in his will. His company, a small investment firm I helped stabilize when he was sick, had assets totaling around $12 million. My name was on the papers. Legit. Ironclad. I didn't tell anyone, not because I was hiding it, but because who the hell announces that? I didn't buy a Lumbo. I didn't quit my job. I paid off my house quietly, updated my car to something reliable, and took one solo trip to Alaska. That's it. Anyway, fast forward to this past Thanksgiving. My sister Emily, 33, her husband Jason, and my parents were all gathered at our folks' place. Tensions had already been bubbling because Emily and Jason have been struggling financially, and my parents never really hid the fact that they think I should help more since I'm doing fine. But nobody knew about the inheritance, until my mom made a comment. She said, "You know, it's funny how you never talk about your job anymore, like you're some secret millionaire." She was joking. Until I laughed. Big mistake. Emily snapped her head around and said, "Wait, are you?" I tried to deflect. "I do all right," I said. But the questions kept coming. Eventually, I admitted that I'd gotten a large inheritance from a former client. Silence. Then Emily goes, "How much?" I shrugged. I should have lied. But something in me said, "Tell the truth." So I said it. About 12 million. That's when all hell broke loose. Emily stood up. Stands. Up. Mid-meal. Everyone's mouths hanging open, turkey halfway to their faces. She shouts, "You selfish bastard. You have $12 million and you've been sitting on it like some kind of troll?" I froze. Jason jumped in. "We've been drowning in bills, trying to keep our house, and you're just sitting there hoarding money?" My mom? She covered her mouth, then shook her head like she was disappointed in me. My dad said nothing. Just stared at his plate. Then Emily goes, "You know I have 2 kids, right? You don't have a family. What do you even need $12 million for?" That sentence. It was like being punched in the stomach. My sister, my own sister, looked me in the face and said I didn't need money because I didn't have a family. She kept going. "You should give some of it to me. I deserve it more. You don't have to give me all of it. Just a few million, enough to cover the mortgage, the cars, the kids' future. That's what a good brother would do." I looked to my parents. They agreed with her. My mother said, "She's not wrong, honey. You're alone. You have no one depending on you. And Rachel needs help. You're the only one who can." Jason pipes up, "Let's be real, man. You've always been the weird one. You never really bonded with the family, you barely talked to us, and now you're keeping secrets like this." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I was being shamed for not giving away millions of dollars, money that I didn't inherit from our family, but from my own hard work, indirectly. Money that no one in that room had any right to. My sister sat back down, crossed her arms, and said, "If you don't help us, you're dead to me. Don't expect to be in my kids' lives." I almost laughed, because she never really wanted me in their lives to begin with. I stood up, pushed back from the table. Still shaking. "Are you hearing yourselves? You're not asking me. You're demanding. Like you're entitled to my money. You don't get to decide who deserves it. Especially when none of you gave a crap about me until I had something you wanted." Then my mom, my actual mother, looks at me and says, "You've always been so self-centered. Maybe this is your chance to do something meaningful." That's when I realized they never saw me as family. Just an ATM they hadn't discovered yet. I walked out, drove home. Haven't answered a single call since. They've sent messages, threats. Emily posted a Facebook status basically calling me greedy and heartless. Jason's brother even DM'd me saying I was scum. All because I won't give them millions of dollars. The silence didn't last long. Less than 48 hours after walking out of that Thanksgiving disaster, I get a knock at my door. Not a call. Not a text. A knock. It's 9 a.m. on a Saturday and I'm standing in my hallway in sweatpants and a coffee mug in hand, half asleep, when I peek out the front window and nearly drop it. On my porch, Emily, Jason, and a man in a suit. I opened the door but didn't move aside. Emily didn't even say hi. "You can't just walk away from family like that," she snapped. "This is serious." Jason chimed in, all smug. "We brought someone to help sort this out." The man stepped forward. "Hi, I'm Kevin. I represent your sister and her husband." I blinked. "You brought a lawyer to my house? You realize how insane this is?" Kevin tried to sound calm. "They're just exploring legal options for equitable distribution, seeing as how." I cut him off. "I'm sorry, equitable what now?" He cleared his throat. given the familial connection and perceived verbal commitment. There was no commitment, I snapped. There was a public shakedown over mashed potatoes. That's not a contract. Emily crossed her arms. You said we were family. That implies support. Jason added, you've got 12 million. Giving us 3 isn't even a dent. This man really stood on my porch and said I should only give them $3 million like he was doing me a favor. I pointed at Kevin. You're done. Off my property. Now. Kevin looked surprised but nodded and turned to leave. Emily didn't move. You're really going to do this? She hissed. To me? I looked up to you. You were my big brother. No, you looked past me your entire life, I said. Right up until you saw dollar signs. Then Jason goes, you know what? We're gonna sue. For what? I laughed. For not giving you free money? Good luck with that. Emily snarled, you'll regret this. No, I said, I regret ever trusting any of you. Then I closed the door. But it didn't stop there. Later that day, my phone lit up with messages from extended family, cousins, uncles, even people I hadn't heard from since high school. Somehow, my sister made it everyone's business. According to her now viral Facebook post, which a kind coworker screenshotted and sent to me, I was a greedy, cold-hearted freak who abandoned his family after becoming obscenely rich. She painted herself as a struggling mom fighting for her kid's future. Comments were brutal. Most people didn't even know the full story, they were just parroting the narrative. One of our aunts even commented, if I had that kind of money, I'd share. Shame on him. What nobody seemed to remember is that Emily never cared about me before. Didn't call. Didn't invite me to her kids' birthdays. Barely even acknowledged my existence unless it was to compare how much better her life was. Now suddenly I'm a resource. Then came the second blow. My parents called a family meeting. At their house. That Sunday. I wasn't going to go. But curiosity won. Big mistake. I walked in and immediately regretted it. They were all there. My parents. Emily. Jason. Even Jason's mother, who'd never said more than 2 words to me in her life. As soon as I sat down, my mom started in. You're tearing this family apart, she said. Over what? Money? I nearly laughed. No, over entitlement. My dad finally spoke, first time since Thanksgiving. Son, you don't understand what it means to provide. You don't have a wife. You don't have kids. You don't know responsibility. That's when I saw red. You think I'm irresponsible? I said. I worked for 15 years straight, no handouts, no debt, no drama. Meanwhile, Emily's been bailed out of credit card debt twice. Jason's had 3 job changes in 4 years, and their idea of budgeting is choosing between Disney Plus or another DoorDash delivery. Jason stood up. You watch your mouth, No, you watch your tone, I snapped. You're in my face because I won't fund your lifestyle. That's pathetic. Then my mom dropped the bomb. If you don't want to give them anything now, fine. But we think it's fair that when you die, your estate should go to Emily and the kids. It's only right. I couldn't believe it. They were talking about my death, my assets, like I was some walking bank account. You're already planning my will? I said. I'm not even 40. Emily shrugged. It's not about death. It's about fairness. I stood up. You want fairness? How about this? You're all cut off. Don't call. Don't write. Don't step foot on my property again. You're not my family. You're leeches with a shared delusion. My mom started crying. My dad called me cold. Emily screamed that I'd regret this for the rest of my life. I walked out. And I haven't looked back since. After the family ambush at my parents' house, I went completely no contact. Changed my number. Locked down my socials. Blocked all of them. But cutting toxic people out doesn't stop them from talking, especially when they're desperate. And desperate people start doing stupid things. A week later, I was sitting in my home office scrolling through emails when I saw a message that stopped me cold. Subject line, they're trying to ruin you. No sender name. Just a burner Gmail. The email read, they've been telling people you stole the money, that you manipulated an old man into putting you in the will. They've already contacted local reporters. One of them is trying to leak documents. Be careful who you trust. They want to break you. My stomach dropped. At first, I thought it was a prank. Paranoia. But I couldn't ignore the weird gut feeling. The message knew things. Private things. Stuff only someone on the inside could know. I replied, who are you? No response. The next morning, I checked my LinkedIn out of habit and nearly spit out my coffee. Someone had commented under an old post congratulating me on securing the bag and saying they hoped I enjoyed conning the elderly. That post had maybe 200 views before. Now it had over 3,000. Dozens of new comments. All hate? I was being smeared. I called a lawyer. She looked into it. The will was already verified and legal. But what shook me was this: someone had submitted an anonymous tip to a local paper, accusing me of elder abuse, financial coercion. Nothing with proof. Just poison. Guess who it traced back to? Jason's cousin. A guy I've never met who works in PR. It clicked then. They weren't just mad. They were trying to destroy me. Not get money. Not talk it out. They wanted to ruin me and then pressure me when I was too exhausted to fight back. My lawyer advised me to keep records of everything. So I did. Started documenting calls, screenshotted posts, backed up emails. Then something wild happened. The burner account emailed me again. This time with a phone number. If you want to know the full story, call me. Your sister doesn't just want your money. She wants your life. That was the line that got me. I stared at the phone number for 30 minutes. Then I called. A man picked up. Calm voice. Said his name was Ethan. Claimed to be a paralegal who used to work with Jason's uncle, the one they used to get free legal advice all the time. He told me straight up, they're building a narrative that you manipulated an old, dying man. They're calling it emotional fraud. They want to file a lawsuit not because they'll win, but because they think you'll settle to make it go away. And then he said they're planning to go public. Your sister has a friend with a podcast. She wants to go on it. This wasn't just family drama anymore. This was defamation warfare. I asked him why he was telling me all this. He paused, then said, because I saw how they talked about you. The plan was to get you humiliated, lose your job, cave under pressure, and then hand over a check to make it all go away. I've watched them do it before, not with millions, but enough to mess people up. I leaned back in my chair, stunned. Ethan sent me files, texts, screenshots. Jason bragging in a group chat, he's gonna break, watch. Once his rep's gone, we'll swoop in. There were even photos of me at a gas station, taken from a distance. They were tracking me, stalking me. That night, I didn't sleep. Every creak in the house felt like a threat. I installed cameras the next day, locked every door, started carrying a legal self-defense tool on me. But the moment that snapped me, the one that truly broke something inside, came 2 days later. A certified letter arrived. Inside was a legal draft, not from a law firm, from my mother. It was a formal request for inheritance redistribution. I kid you not. A handwritten document signed by her and notarized stating that she believed the inheritance should be reevaluated by the family and that she and Emily were deeply concerned about how I came into it. She included a line that made my jaw hit the floor. We ask that you consider transferring a minimum of 40% to your sister who has children and responsibilities that you, as a bachelor, do not. I felt sick, betrayed on a level I didn't even know existed. Not only had they turned on me, they weaponized my life choices. Used my independence like a flaw. My being child-free, unmarried, quiet, all spun as selfishness. And then came the voicemail. It was Emily. Calm, smug. Hey, look, you can keep fighting us. Or you can be smart. Transfer the money. Keep some for yourself. No one has to lose everything. But if you keep going like this, I promise you will. She hung up. After that notarized family redistribution letter, I stopped trying to play nice. I'd spent most of my life avoiding conflict, dodging drama, staying out of family messes. But this wasn't a mess anymore. This was war, and they'd fired the first shot. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I hired a private investigator. His name was Mason. Quiet guy, ex-military, sharp eyes, didn't ask dumb questions. I told him the situation in plain terms. My family is trying to ruin me. I need leverage. I need truth. He nodded once and said, you'll have a report in a week. It took 4 days. What he gave me made my jaw clench so hard I thought my molars cracked. Turns out my perfect little sister Emily had secrets. Big ones. Let me walk you through it. First bomb, she and Jason were already being audited. Apparently, they hadn't paid taxes properly for 3 years. Some sketchy side business registered under her name. Supposedly an online boutique. Mason found it had no inventory, no website, and hadn't processed a single real order. But money was moving in and out. A lot of money. Second bomb, Jason had been fired from his last 2 jobs for inappropriate conduct. He was on a mutual resignation agreement that included a non-disclosure clause. Both companies agreed to never talk about what really happened. But let's just say Mason found a few whispers online in forums. And it wasn't pretty. Third and most brutal bomb. Emily and Jason had taken out a second mortgage on my parents' house. Without telling them. I nearly dropped the file when I read that one. They forged documents to show joint agreement using access they had as caretakers for Dad after his knee surgery. The mortgage had been approved. The bank thought it was all valid. The money? Gone. When I asked Mason where it went? Crypto. Leverage trading. They tried to flip it fast. I sat in my living room shaking. They weren't just greedy. They were criminally desperate. They were using my parents, manipulating them like pawns, telling them I was selfish while secretly gambling their house into the dirt. But here's the kicker. Mason found one more thing. Something that made my skin crawl. Jason had tried to access my property. Twice. Once at 2:14 a.m. according to my doorbell camera. Put on. Parked down the street. Didn't knock. Just stood at the edge of the driveway for 10 minutes. Watching. Second time he walked around the back of my house. I didn't notice it then, but Mason pulled the footage frame by frame. You could see the glint of a phone in his hand like he was filming. I reported it. Filed for a restraining order. Cops took the footage and said, yeah, that's not just creepy. That's premeditated. But I wasn't done. Because now I had fuel. And I was going to use it. I went to my parents' house the following weekend. Just me in a manila folder. They were surprised to see me. Nervous. My mom offered tea. I said no. Where's Emily? I asked. My dad cleared his throat. There, running late. Good. I want to talk before they show up. I dropped the folder on the kitchen table and slid it toward them. Open it. My mom hesitated. Just read it, I said. They did. It was silent for a long time. Then my dad said quietly, is this true? I nodded. All of it. He looked like he'd aged 5 years in 5 minutes. My mom covered her mouth. They took a loan on our house? Without your consent, I said. And used your medical paperwork to push it through. My dad whispered, my knee surgery paperwork, that's how? Yeah, I said. They forged your consent form. It's all in there. Signatures. Timestamps. Loan documents. Crypto transactions. Mason found it all. Then the front door opened. Emily and Jason walked in like they owned the place. She was mid-sentence about something, laughing until she saw me. What are you doing here? I didn't say a word. My dad stood up. His voice shook. You lied to us. Emily froze. What? You used us. Stole from us. Took out a mortgage without our permission. You put our house at risk. How dare you? Jason tried to interject, but my dad slammed the table. Sit down. Then he looked at me. Get it all out? So I did. Every detail. The lies. The threats. The surveillance. The burner accounts. The podcast plan. The fake business. The audits. The crypto. And then I handed them one more thing, a printed copy of the will from my late client. Read the last page, I said. It was a personal letter. From the man who'd left me his fortune. He wrote, I'm giving you this because you're the only one who showed up when it mattered. You never asked for anything. You listened. You helped. You did what no one else did, you cared. Don't let the leeches bleed you dry. Use this for you. No one else. You earned it. I watched my parents read it in silence. Then I stood up. Looked Jason in the eyes. You stepped on the wrong man. You thought I was weak. That I'd fold. Then Emily. You thought being family gave you a right to everything I've built. I walked past them and said, see you in court. And I meant it. It all unraveled on a Wednesday. For days after I showed my parents the truth, I hadn't heard a word from anyone since. No texts. No calls. Just silence. Until I got the message. It was a voice note. From Emily. I didn't want to play it. I nearly deleted it. But curiosity got the best of me. Her voice was shaking. You've ruined my life. You think you're so much better. You think money makes you important. You took everything from me. And now Jason's gone. My heart skipped. Gone? Gone where? I replayed it 3 times. Then the next one came. He left, packed a bag and walked out. Said he's done. He said I'm too toxic. Said I lied to him. You didn't destroy us, I did. Is that what you wanted to hear? No. I didn't want any of this. Not really. I just wanted to be left alone. But now it was all spiraling. 10 minutes later, I got another call. From my mom. She was crying so hard I could barely understand her. She's not okay. Emily. She's having a breakdown. Your father called an ambulance. That sent me into my car without even thinking. I drove to my parents' place on instinct. I didn't know what I was going to do. Just that something inside me wouldn't let me ignore this, not yet. When I got there, Emily was sitting on the front porch barefoot. Her mascara streaked down her face, hair a tangled mess. Her knees pulled up to her chest like she was 8 again. She looked up at me like I was a ghost. And then she laughed. Not happy. Not fake. A bitter, broken laugh. I lied about the will, she said. I told Jason you promised to give us some of it. I told him you said I was the one who deserved it. I stood frozen. She kept talking. I thought if he believed it, he'd stay. That he'd see me as the mother who secured the future. But he saw through it. He always saw through me. And you? You saw through both of us. I swallowed hard. Why, Emily? Her voice cracked. Because I hate that you got out. That you escaped this family. That you were invisible for years and still ended up on top. I did everything right. I got married. I had kids. I followed the script. And still, I'm drowning. She pointed at her chest. I'm bleeding dry. And nobody sees it. Her breathing was getting faster. Shaky. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. I spent years watching Mom and Dad pretend I was the perfect one. And I let them. I let them turn me into this hollow, angry thing. And when you got the money, it was like the world confirmed it. You were the one who deserved it. Not me. She wiped her face with her sleeve. You think you're the victim. You think we're monsters. But you don't know what it's like to have people expect you to be perfect your whole life. I sat down on the step next to her. Not close. Not comforting. Just there. Quiet for a long moment. Then I said, you didn't have to be perfect. You just had to be decent. You could have asked. You could have talked to me. She laughed again. Bitterer this time. You would have said no. I looked her straight in the eyes. Maybe. But at least it would have been honest. Not like this. The ambulance pulled up. My mom came running out with a coat. Paramedics stepped onto the lawn. Emily didn't fight it. She stood up, nodded once, and let them take her. I watched the doors close. Watched the lights flash as they pulled away. My mom turned to me. Her face was pale. You think you're the only one hurt by this? I didn't answer. Because she wasn't wrong. None of this felt like winning. It felt like ash. Like years of quiet resentments finally burning through the walls and leaving nothing but ruins. That night, I didn't eat. Didn't sleep. I sat on the floor of my living room looking at a childhood photo of me and Emily on Christmas morning. We were kids. Back when things weren't poisoned. I didn't cry. I just sat. Not thinking. Just existing. Because there was nothing else to do. The money wasn't the blessing I thought it'd be. It was a match thrown into a dry forest, and I was the one holding it. It's been 6 weeks. The smoke's cleared, but nothing feels whole. Emily's been out of the hospital for a few days now. She's staying with her cousin in another city. From what I hear, she's in therapy. Actually going. Which surprised me. Jason didn't come back. He's moved in with someone else. Left the state. Took a job out west. The only thing he left behind was a note, apparently. One line, we were never on the same page. I don't know what that means, and I'm not sure she does either. Our parents? Still raw. We've talked. Briefly. Surface level. It's civil but empty. My mom still can't say the words. Still can't admit she was wrong. But there's something in her voice now, tiredness. Like a balloon finally let all the air out. I think she's realizing she put her pride where love should have been. And my dad, he said something I'll never forget. We were standing in the driveway last week. I was dropping off a box of some old things I'd found in storage, baby pictures, family ornaments. He stared at the box for a long time. Then he said, you were always quieter than Emily. I think we just mistook that for having no needs. That hit hard. Because that was exactly it. I didn't scream. I didn't fight. I didn't ask. I just endured. Until I stopped. And when I did, when I finally stood up for myself, they didn't know how to handle it. So they labeled it selfish. But it wasn't selfish. It was survival. Let me be clear, I didn't cut them out for the money. I cut them out when I realized they only saw my worth when I became valuable to them. That's not family. That's a transaction. Yeah? I'm learning how to live again. Not as someone hiding, but as someone rebuilding. I took a solo trip up to Oregon last week. Stayed in a small cabin, hiked through the woods, left my phone off for 3 straight days. First time in years I slept without waking up at 3 a.m. wondering what disaster would come next. I've started therapy. A real therapist, not just Reddit and self-help books. I've gone back to painting. Something I used to do as a kid before life got loud. I'm not good. That's not the point. I've been quietly donating too. Not in my name. Just helping where I can. A kid's cancer fund. A local shelter. A scholarship for a first-gen college student. No spotlights. No posts. Just quiet impact. Because money didn't change me. But it exposed everyone else. And now I get to choose who's in my life. Not out of obligation. Not out of fear. But out of respect. Will I ever speak to Emily again? Maybe. Someday. But only if she walks through the fire of her own choices, not just cries about the burns. I don't hate her. I'm just done letting her make me feel guilty for not breaking myself to keep her comfortable. The last message she sent me before going silent again was this. You were never invisible. You just made it easy for us to look away.